Hello and welcome to our second training video designed to provide insight into the purpose, properties, uses, and equipment surrounding R1234YF. This video provides a more in-depth look into global warming potential and highlights R1234YF's eco-friendly properties. By looking at this refrigerant timeline, we can see how the industry has evolved through the years. R12, a CFC refrigerant, was phased out due to its high ozone depleting potential. Its replacement, R134A, has been used for years, but is currently in the process of being phased out in favor of lower global warming potential R1234YF. It is important to note that while R1234YF has much better environmental qualities than R12 and R134A, one trade-off is that it is mildly flammable. Now we will go in depth on global warming potential. Global warming potential, or GWP, is a metric used to gauge the global warming impacts of different greenhouse gases. When greenhouse gases are released, they remain in the atmosphere and absorb heat. The trapped heat is prevented from spreading out into space and in turn warms the planet. Using carbon dioxide as a reference point, greenhouse gases are assigned a GWP value that equates how much energy the gas will absorb over time. The higher the GWP, the more heat and energy a gas absorbs. To put this into perspective, R134A and its GWP of 1,300 means that 1 ton of R134A will absorb roughly 1,300 times more heat and energy in the atmosphere than 1 ton of carbon dioxide. Looking even closer, we can see that the emissions from one 30-pound cylinder of R134A are equivalent to the CO2 emissions from 2,190 gallons of gasoline and the charging of over 2 million smartphones. This shows how potent HFCs are in the atmosphere and, with emissions increasing yearly, now is the time to switch to more environmentally friendly alternatives. R1234YF not only has a much lower GWP than 134A, but its atmospheric lifetime is 11 days instead of 13 years. To highlight how much better 1234YF is for the environment than 134A, we have the following statistics for the transition of one 30-pound cylinder from 134A to 1234YF. This switch would replace the amount of CO2 converted by 6,520 acres of trees per year, take the equivalent of 3 cars off the road for 1 year, save the CO2 emissions of 1 home for 1 year, and the emissions from the consumption of 41 barrels of oil. This shows that even a small switch can make a big difference. 3 major regulatory efforts in the U.S. include the American Innovation and Manufacturing Leadership Act, which seeks to put a federal legislation in place for the phase-down of HFCs, the EPA's Significant New Alternatives Policy, or SNAP, which evaluates potential substitutes in industries that have used harmful greenhouse gases, and the California Air Resources Board, which fights air pollution in the state of California. That's all we have for you. Thank you for joining us for an introduction to global warming potential. Now we'll move into refrigerant flammability.